All right, I am live. Happy Thanksgiving to all my friends here in the United States. And even if you're not in the United States, we have a lot to be grateful for. John Lavenia here. This is our Success Mastermind for Thursday, the 25th of November, 2021. And, I know a lot of people are taking today off. I'm taking today off with the exception of this one broadcast, because this is important stuff. I've got some ideas I wanted to share that I think can illuminate the relevance and the significance not only of this American holiday, but what we're doing here with especially with as many entrepreneurs as we have, people who are looking to succeed in these changing times. And that brings me to Thanksgiving itself and how this whole thing started. I've done a bit of study in terms of like American history, and of course, the harvest celebrations, which predate even the existence of this thing we call the United States of America, and what led up to these sort of celebrations. And I was reminded by looking at some of the history of this, and you can find in libraries, and I'm sure posted online, some of the references of the diaries, the journals of the town leaders and the Puritans, people who came over in this case. Of course, a lot of people know the story of the Mayflower and Plymouth Rock and all the stuff. Actually, they hit the wrong spot. They went a little bit off course. I think they were looking for this place called Manhattan. They wound up a little bit north of that. But at first, and this is the interesting part of this whole history, at first they set up a commune. And they intended, for everyone to just, I suppose, do their part. Hey, Edward, good to see you. Hey, Bob and Missy. And so here were these pilgrims, right, who were seeking to, colonize and have, this whole new world experience. And they originally set up like a commune, which sounds benign enough. But, okay, and it's a big but, there were a lot of people who didn't want to pull their weight. There were a lot of people in that group. You would think that, here we are, we're going to go do the commune thing, right? But there was not a whole lot of cooperation. There was, well, maybe they can handle that, and I'm not able. I'm gonna sit here and kick back, and turns out a lot of them starved to death. So I don't know how many of you know the history of this and why, Thanksgiving is so relevant. But at first, it didn't work. It didn't work. This whole idea of what I would call collectivism, right, didn't work out. A lot of them died. And didn't the other guy handle it? Or who came and took the bushels of wheat out of the storage, and the seed crop is gone, and a lot of them died. And so they changed their ways. And I think this is the most relevant part of all this. And they decided, this method isn't working, this whole commune thing. Let's cooperate. How about this? You know what? I suck at growing the corn. You grow corn really good. You know what I do? I hunt turkeys, and I do that really good. And you over there, you know how to like diplomatically communicate with, the local, the chief guy over there. And, we can, trade and we can cooperate. Yeah, that could work out. Everybody pull your weight now, right? Because we know what happened last winter. That sucked. Okay. And so they transitioned, the Puritans transitioned from more of like a commune or a collectivist or communist approach to what today we call capitalism. Now, I think the problem with capitalism is that it was named by its enemies. It would probably better be called cooperativism, because that's exactly what happened. Here were people who played to their strengths and cooperated with others who had other strengths. And what was the result? Well, I think we all know. Here's the harvest, right? And they praised, the heavens, and the fruitage, the bounty was plentiful and running over, and all of that, because they pulled their heads out of their asses and they said, you know what, you're good at that, you're good at that. Everybody pull your weight now, because we don't want to starve again. And it worked. It worked, right? And they gave much thanks, and much fruitage was had. right? Okay. So too simple. Yes, no, no, not to be taken for granted, because, and I don't want to make this into well, it's definitely a conversation about civics, but I don't want to get too deep into the political weeds with that. But the idea of everyone doing what you do well and cooperating with others who can also do well. In other words, an able group composed of able individuals with the mindset of, I can. Now think of everything that we're doing here with our various businesses and enterprises, everything that you've got your hands in. You as an entrepreneur, as a self-reliant person, as a person who seeks to be, do, and have more of what you want in your life, right? Which I would say is every single person who hears my voice right now. You've already taken on a bit of, responsibility, right? You've already accepted that, you know what, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. I'm going to have to do something to support myself, my family, the lifestyle that I intend to have, that I'm creating for myself, my immediate and ongoing financial future. Okay. And using the same principles of cooperativism, the same principles that ultimately benefited these pilgrims and allowed them to, not die in the winter and stuff, right? So it's the same truth, right? And it still works. It still works. However, not to be taken for granted. Okay. There are schools of thought, if you can call them that, that have, more of a collectivist, ideal about all this, which has never been proven workable ever in the history of man. However, my ankle's a little bit sore. I can't quite work the plow today. You know what? You guys work the plow. In fact, I'm going to jump on the cart and you can pull me along. And then somebody else, their ankle hurts or whatever, they got a boo-boo or something. And next thing you know, half the people are on the cart that want to get pulled along. It never works. It never works, right? What we do know that works is self-reliant, causative people cooperating with others and creating what? Creating an economy, creating something workable. And certainly, different people have different, outcomes, right? So when we look at what caused Thanksgiving to be, such a celebration, it was that other people who had different strengths, which may or may not, if we were, keeping score of, what's this worth, what's that worth, right? In terms of like money or whatever. And of course, it's been some hundreds of years since the original, harvest celebrations. But we could see a disparity between outcomes in different people and their skill level. This guy grew, 100 bushels of corn. This guy only grew 80. Okay, so are all outcomes equal? No. But opportunities are equal, right? And here's I think the message for everyone here is that if you've been attempting to fit yourself into someone else's mold, in other words, and again, this is more of a collectivist type approach, all right? If you've been the effect more than you've been like cause for your own choices in your life, well, that can be terribly frustrating. Because look, I don't know that I've ever excelled at anything that I wasn't somewhat passionate about, at least, had a high level of interest in. Can anyone here say that, what, I just crush it. I'm not really interested in this topic or whatever this action is, but man, am I really good at it? Like anybody? Probably not, right? But just taking inventory for myself. It's like, what are the things that I can do, at a very high level? Well, wouldn't you know it? They're the same things that I have an interest in and therefore have developed an aptitude for. I talked about this in Integrity is Everything. Interest renders aptitude, right? So I'm really, really interested in growing corn, let's say. Okay, great. Well, guess what? I'm going to do all the research about corn. I'm going to talk to the guy down the street who's got the best corn in the world. And I'm going to, do whatever it takes. How much water do you need? How much sunlight? How much this? How much that? Now, I think it's fairly obvious for anyone who knows me that has not been my main interest or one of my interests, right? Here we are in the United States, we produce more corn, I think, than, the next 15 planets combined. Okay, we got corn, baby. Yeah, we do. We got corn. But But some people were interested in that. And guess what? They can now exchange with other people who were interested in the cattle or the e-commerce or the, building rocket ships or whatever it happens to be, because now we can cooperate. Now, the guy who likes building rocket ships would be miserable on the cornfield and vice versa. So individual choices, right? And that whole idea of what Ralph Emerson, centuries later in the 1800s, wrote a whole essay called Self-Reliance. I don't know how many of you have read that. But it focuses on the ideas and the ideals of the power of the individual, right? And so when we give thanks, whether it's on this day or every day of the year, and hopefully you do, we talked about, many times we've talked about the idea of enumerating what we're grateful for. We can make a gratitude list. We can do this as an exercise, right? Which, by the way, I will tell you, if you are seeking abundance, affluence, prosperity, right? This is the greatest wealth creation emotion that I've ever experienced, right? Because we're grateful for what we have, not what we lack. We're grateful for what we have. And that which we validate expands, right? So if we can keep putting our attention deliberately on here's what is working. Here are my strengths. I do have these abilities. I do have these assets. One of them being my ability to cooperate with others who have different assets, different abilities, different strengths and aptitudes. If I am cognizant of that, and if I am acknowledging and validating that, well, that's going to become more and more real in my life. The flip side to that, of course, is where if we've frustrated ourselves by not fulfilling our potential, our purposes, and doing that in an introspective and self-reliant way, right? If we've not been true to ourselves, and this is one of the oldest admonitions, I suppose, from all of philosophy, is know thyself, self be true. If we haven't done that, well, then what? We're going to focus on how much we suck, how much we lack, how insufficient. And what you validate expands. Well, you get more insufficiency and lack. And I mean, right now we're in the book, for those of you in our book study group, or at least, tuning into the recordings, we just started last week. We started Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. Some powerful reminders in there. But the crux of it all is that which we tell ourselves about ourselves and our situations and our abilities or inabilities and all of it, the internal dialogue, the auto-suggestion, that which we tell ourselves all day, every day, whether we know it or not. That right there has the ability to shape our great, splendor and prosperity and all that, or it's the same power that can shape the destruction, right? And here's an erroneous idea, just like with the Puritans, right? Here's an erroneous idea. It didn't work. Half of them died. That sucked, right? Our methods suck. Okay, so if we can just look, and I know this is the prerequisite that I've brought up a lot, is you can't solve a problem unless you can confront the problem. And look, there's a lot of people in modern life that are unwilling or unable to confront, facts and like, here's what works, here's what's workable, here's what doesn't. Look, everything we talk about here in these sessions, the books we read and everything else, the end result of all that is not, for the sake of agreement or something. The end result of that is see what works in our lives, right? Here's a mountain of philosophy. Well, what part of that is workable in our lives? And look, I've read a lot of crap and I've read a lot of amazing stuff. The barometer is, does it bear fruit? That's it, right? I don't marry methods. I marry results. Another way of saying that, I suppose, would be, as long as what we're doing is legal and ethical and all that, are we making decisions that are actually moving us in the direction of our goals? And when we look at, the things that have, produced corn in our lives, right? Then these are things that we haven't been conflicted about them. We've been on the right track and we've known it. We've been on purpose, and we've asked ourselves, whether we know it or not, we've asked ourselves questions like, is this moving me in the direction of my goals? And if the answer is yes, well then, Is there any reason I shouldn't do this? Am I going to hurt you if I do this? Right? Because we're good, ethical people. And really, those are the only two questions that successful people, consider when moving, or should I do this action? Should I make this decision? Right? Is this on purpose? Is this moving me in the direction of what I said I wanted for myself and for, my family and community and whatever? And will this violate the rights of others? And if the answers to the first question is yes, and the second question is no, well, then there's no third question. We just do it without so much damn counter intention. I love that term, because we may have an intention and we may be fighting ourselves again and again and again with what we call counter intention. Yes, but you lose, right? That's what I've noticed for myself. So no buts. If there's buts, then we got to figure out, why is there a but there? Got a big butt, could have a little butt. Okay, let's all have beautiful thoughts now. Okay, but what's with the but? Okay, enough with the counter intention. Yeah, but. So I think, and I'll kind of end off with this. There's not. The message is, I think, pretty clear. We know what we're grateful for, and we're grateful for that which we have and that which works in our lives. And as long as we're able to have our attention on that more often than not, we're going to be using the power of autosuggestion and the power of our subconscious mind, what we're not consciously thinking about, which is actually what's making our choices, right? When we see what we're actually attracting in our lives, right? A lot of this stuff, a lot of the things that have worked in your life are not necessarily things that you planned for, right? But they revealed themselves as workable nonetheless. And some of that had to be heuristic, trial and error. Okay, fine. But when we think about the significance of a day like this in the United States and what brought it about, we can break that down into a micro sense into our own lives. Not only appreciate those who have come before us, who have demonstrated workability, right? Thank you. I don't have to pioneer this anymore. I don't need to jump on the Mayflower and try and get across an ocean or something, right? I can do this right where I stand. So thank you for your example. Thank you for your demonstration of what works and what doesn't. Okay, but history will repeat itself if we're not aware of that. So let me go ahead and, with my own strengths and abilities, my own interests and aptitudes, let me go ahead and employ workable methods. And then, man, we get into the flow. It is like, wow, it was there all along. You mean that corn could have grown all along? You mean those turkeys could have been, harvested all along? Yeah. It's all the same resources. It's all the same stuff, right? Who's doing it? Who's doing it? On purpose people? Well, now let's have a harvest, right? A bunch of people bemoaning their fate and waiting for somebody else to do something. Well, good luck with that. Let me know how that works out for you, right? I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this. And we've got Americans and Brits and where else? Do we got any Aussies on here? No, I think they're asleep right now. We got some Canadians here. Oh my goodness. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in for this little special broadcast. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, I love you as well. Thank you for being a part of this, I think, very important message. I see Bob and Missy, Daisy, Edward, Lindsay, Mandy, and Sonia. Anybody else have some thoughts you want to share on this day of thanks here in the United States? And hopefully you're feeling thankful no matter where you are. Bob and Missy, come on down.
So surprising. I'm certainly thankful for this group. It's made a big change in my life, in our life. And, getting to your point, God didn't bring everybody into the world at once. We come out as individuals, and the baker still has to go to the butcher still has to go to the baker. When we look out for our own interests and cooperate, as you said, everything is stable. But the opposite of autosuggestion is someone else suggesting. And the brainwashing that is going on in government schools is causing huge, tremendous problems to young people in our whole way of life. So I don't know why we must learn these lessons over and over again. Just the Pilgrims alone shows it didn't work. And they weren't under a Stalinistic regime. That didn't work either. That killed more people than anything else on earth. But individual responsibility, individuals cooperating. When we buy something when we sell something, somebody wants to buy it, and vice versa. And it's just the most wonderful system. I can't imagine why anybody on earth wouldn't want to replicate that and praise it and be grateful for it. But I am, and thank you for letting me open my big mouth again. I appreciate the.
Well, I appreciate you, Missy and Bob. And by the way, you're looking spectacular. You've got I guess your Sunday best on or something. You look great. Not so sure about Bob, but Missy, you look great. Bob, good to see you, brother. And why? If we have to ask why, well, then let's ask it, right? Well, there's a lot of people who have been conned into believing that you're not able, you can't, you're a victim, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, just turn on the news. Actually, please don't. But the message is again and again and again and again, here's everything that's wrong, and there's nothing you can do about it, by the way. Everything that's wrong, nothing you can do about it. There's some special people in some ivory tower somewhere, and they're the ruling class. They know what to do. So just go ahead and flow all your power to them, and then just take whatever orders. It never works, ever. Okay. So,
I just want to wrap up what Missy just said with a quote. I don't know if it's original with President Reagan, but he certainly popularized it when he was in office, and that is, freedom is always one generation away from being exterminated. Or I don't know if he used the word exterminated, but we're always one generation away from losing it. And this is the thing that we have to be most thankful for, because individual liberty is what allows people to pursue their own interests and perhaps make a profit of what they are passionate about, which in turn gives them the resources to purchase the goods of other people who are doing what is passionate for them. And you get into a virtuous cycle when you allow people free rein to develop their own talents. And of course, you do have to have laws and regulations, but I'm reminded of another quote. This is from William Penn, some generations after Plymouth Rock, but certainly somewhat of a contemporary. Men will either be governed by God or they will be ruled by tyrants. And the people who founded this great republic of ours were people who acknowledged the supremacy of a being greater than themselves. And it is to him that we give our thanks chiefly. Without his bounty and benevolence, that second winter would not have been one of celebration and thanksgiving. Yes, the human beings had to do their part, but as St. Paul said, I planted, Apollos watered, but God granted the increase. So just a word from the man above, or for the man above.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bob. Did you ever hear the story about the guy there was this farmer, and then the pastor came down the street and said, "Oh, you've been blessed with such, a beautiful farm, such bounty. The Lord has blessed you." And the farmer, after a while, said, "Well, you should have seen when God had it all to himself." So there is cooperation, but yeah, I mean, going back into those journals of here's the town leader or whatever. And talking about praising, God for the bounty and all this. So the idea of humility is what's coming up for me. So yes, I am able, and I've been blessed with these abilities. Who was it that said, God's gift to you is more talent and ability than you can develop in this lifetime. Your gift to God is to develop as much of that as you can, for the benefit of your fellow man in this lifetime. So there is, well, I guess we're back to the whole idea of flow, right? It's balancing those flows, and it's inflow and it's outflow. But as Bob's saying, right, where there's an opportunity to do that, I'd say let's maximize that, right? Anyway, Sonia's here with us, one of my favorite Canadians in the planet. Sonia, hi Sonia, how are you?
Hello, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving to all my American friends.
Thank you.
We had, being Canadian, we had our Thanksgiving like a month ago. So you guys are like having your turkey day today. This is awesome.
You guys do turkey in Canada, or you do something totally different?
No, turkey.
Turkey. Okay, got it.
Absolutely. Kill the bird, roast it, eat it.
Mhm.
You had mentioned something earlier on about, I think it was saying, well, you always touch on gratitude. So I just wanted to bring up something on gratitude. Couple months ago, I hit like my biggest sales in Amazon kind of thing, or online, and it was like a little over 3,000. And I made a little sign, I put it on the fridge. It says, thank you, thank you, thank you for all the money that I have been given. And every time I walk past it, give it a kiss, feel it, put my hand on it, say thank you, move on about my day. Since then, my sales have more than doubled. I'm sitting at almost 7,500 for the month, and we're not done the month yet. Right? So I'm going to shoot for 9,000 this month, which would be awesome. But last night I was going through my journal, going through my gratitude thing. I have these two little rocks that I keep by the bed, and I'm thankful, pick up my rocks. What am I thankful for the day? And always it's thank you, thank you, thank you for the money that I have been given. And last night it was thank you, thank you, thank you for all the money that's coming. And I don't even know why that came out of my mouth, but it did. And it's going to be a fantastic 2022. I know it's not even December yet, but I'm already in 2022 with my thoughts and where I'm going with it. So yeah, believing in that higher energy, giving thanks for that, being grateful for what we have. Like $3,500 in sales, that blew my mind. I thought that was like the most amazing month. And now I'm like, 7,500, we can do more. We're good. We can do.
You hit 9, and you're about triple. And why not? Right? Here comes Black Friday, Cyber Monday. People buy everything.
Well, the thing that keeps popping into my mind, I have two thoughts that I wanted to share that just keep coming into my mind throughout the day, this entire week. And I don't know why. I'm so freaking happy. That thought just keeps coming up at the weirdest moments. I'll be sitting having a cup of tea. Oh my God, I'm so freaking happy. A year ago, that was not my mantra. Like that was far from happy. And the second one was, there is no penalty. There is no downside. Do what you want. There really isn't any penalty. You want to sell stuff? You want to make money? Go freaking do it. You can do it. There's no big deal. Like, it's not that hard. And don't worry about failing. Whoopee. So you fall down. Whoopee. You pick up. You keep going. But yeah, for some reason, those two thoughts keep resonating with me this week. And I just wanted to share that. And maybe it resonates with somebody else on the call today. Okay, it does. Good.
Totally.
But
Thank you, Sonia. So we're grateful for what we have. And Sonia has a prosperous future. She has that. Right now, she has that. Let's be grateful for that. Right? So now we're into the faith of, what we haven't seen yet, but there's the confidence, there's the knowingness. Wow. Sonia, what a transformation. My goodness. Sonia Turingia, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. I think we lost Lindsay. She's probably got that Alabama internet going on there. Yes, thank you, Sonia, for that inspiration. Let's hear from Mandy, all the way across the pond in the UK.
Hello, John.
Hey.
Yes, we might be across the pond, but it doesn't mean we can't be grateful, can it? So I just posted on another group for Facebook Live for Thanksgiving, and I thought the same thing. So what can we be thankful for? And well, so many things. I mean, I'm grateful for so many things in my life, and for some things that the universe has given to me that I didn't know were coming. It might not necessarily be money at the moment, but just meeting other people and getting over some limiting beliefs that I had. I mean, me putting a Facebook Live out there is something I would never have done in a million years. I just went and posted it. So it's like, but just because we're over here doesn't mean we shouldn't think about the fact that what we're grateful for. And all the books say the same thing, like you said, that we really do need to be grateful. And exactly what Sonia is just proving, it works. If you're grateful for what you've got, then you'll get more because you're grateful for what you got. But if you're not grateful, then why would they give you any more? Because you're not grateful for what you've got. I'm sure that was in one of my books. If you're not grateful for it, we're not going to give you anything else, are we? And so I need to keep remembering it, and I am grateful, but it's remembering it every day to say it and to feel it. I've got one question for you though, which might be going down a can of worms. But so you know that I listen to the news, and that's something that I do anyway. So the question I've got from you is, if you don't watch the news, because I know it's really bad news, and this is somebody from the outside looking in from another country, of course, so I don't know everything about how things work in your country. But how do you know what's happening in the world if you don't watch the news? Because that's how I get my information.
Okay, so what's the news? If we're talking about mass media, government subsidized propaganda, then no, we don't watch that, because that's not what's happening anyway. That's just the narrative that you're supposed to believe and comply with. But there's plenty of private channel, commentary and current events and things like that, which are not commercially supported or statist run kind of operations. So yeah, things like that. Sure, I'm up to speed on that. I will tell you right now, Mandy, here in our country, there's a lot of attention on what's going on in Washington, D.C. Whatever's going on there. It's a really interesting scene right now. In fact, the whole world is watching that. But the narrative that you're probably getting through, if you're going through mainstream channels, I will tell you is not real, not even close. So a lot of attention on that right now. But I don't want to go too far down.
Oh, no, I know you don't. No, I know you don't. No, and that's absolutely fine, because I know what it's like over there. I was just that sometimes you can get into your own echo chambers then, and it's just we see it from the outside looking in, and yes, I do know about some of that. But yeah, no, there's other places to find it. And I don't go through all the narrative always. I go through other radio stations, and I listen to the people here, and the people phone into those radio stations, and the people tell you what's really happening out there, so that you then know from the horse's mouth what's really going on. And again,
I would much sooner trust, somebody's iPhone footage than, I talked about this in Integrity is Everything. There was a friend who was working for a major so-called news outfit. And they would come in each day and they would say, here's the material, here's the footage, and here's the version that we're gonna push out to the public. And it was nonsense. And he wound up walking out. And that was the end of that. I won't say which organization that was, but their initials are CNN. So there you go. Yeah, really toxic stuff. Now, I will say this too, and then I'd be happy to hear from anybody else. The barometer that I use is my emotional state. So am I feeling more able and inspired, or more despair, apathy, right? So I look at my emotions, and that instructs me on how much, regardless of the source, how much of that input is serving me. Because there is a point of look, I know a lot of people who sit around and complain about everything that's wrong, and they're right. Okay, but what are they doing about it? Is the end result of all this that you can sit around and gripe? Something can be done about it. So to the degree that I'm operating in my circle of influence, I'm feeling more, empowered and able and all that. Now I know I'm on the right track emotionally. Okay, and I've got to find that line, because sometimes I'll tell you what, the worst thing for me to do is end my day with an hour's worth of political commentary and then go to bed.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Yeah. And you're right, actually, I did turn it off the other day. You just reminded me, it wasn't political commentary, but there's been a lot of things happening over here with, murders and things with young kids and everything. And it was like, enough. Right. And it was like, no, it's going off. I'm putting Avo on. So you're right, I did turn it off. You're right. It's what your emotional feeling is at the time. Yeah, because it takes you down. Yeah, I agree with that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's wrong and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the message.
Yeah.
So be real careful with that. I love you, Mandy. Like, truly, you're a friend, and thank you for being a part of this conversation. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Anybody else today before we get on and put turkeys in the oven and whatever? Apple pie. Is anybody making apple pie today? We're having apple pie. I don't think we're making it though. I think they just bought it at the store. So convenience. Let's hear it for convenience. God bless capitalism, baby. Here's $5. Sell me the pie. You know how to bake. I don't know how to bake. Here's $5. So, all right, you guys, have an awesome day. You totally deserve it. We'll be back here tomorrow for a little Black Friday special, because we want to talk a little bit about e-commerce. I'd love it if Sonia and Missy and others who are engaging, of course, Mandy engaging in various forms of e-commerce, I'd love to kind of bring that up a little bit tomorrow and talk about some of the stuff that I'm doing as well. Anyway, I love you guys. Have a beautiful day. We'll see you
Happy
again.
Thanksgiving.